Okay, I'm gonna try to. I'm churning out a couple of videos here real quick before work. I just cranked out one that's probably gonna be perceived as quite negative by a lot of people. So now I'm gonna do one that's positive. Only it's not gonna seem positive, but it is. Or maybe it'll seem positive, but it's really not. You get to decide. Okay, so I got some good news. It has never been easier to be an exceptional woman. What do I mean by that? And if you've watched this channel before and you see the smile on my face, you could probably predict where we're about to go. Well, let's talk about what it means, what it takes to be an exceptional man today in a wealthy country. But, let's talk about the United States. What would it take for a normal woman to consider you an exceptional man? Well, you have to make six figures. You have to be 6 foot tall. You have to be muscular, and on and on and on. Attractive, funny. You can go out there and just look at YouTube and see what modern women expect out of men. Or you can look at statistics for, dating apps. We all know that's not what they're about, like Tinder, and find that basically only 5 to 10% of guys get any response at all from women. So that's interesting. So the fact is you have to be much more than average, much more, because 5 to 10%, that's not 50, right? So it turns out that modern women find over 80% of men unacceptable. Not less acceptable, not less desirable, but they draw their line at 80%. It turns out that the kinds of things that they look for are either impossible if you don't already have them, like being 6 foot tall or taller, or extraordinarily difficult to obtain, like earning a 6-figure income, which only a very small percent of men do, and that's across all age ranges. Not to mention the much lower percentage of men in their 20s, say, who make that much money. Now, caveat, I do believe that most of the economic problems faced by men today are self-imposed because, like women, they've drunk deeply from the Kool-Aid that suggests that you should just follow your dreams and do whatever you want. It seems like a very rare thing for a young person to actually look at economic data, which even in 2001, in the Dark Ages, when you had to fight the dinosaurs to get to the public library to access the books that had this information, it was very, very available. So you could flip through the outlook, the economic outlook from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's no end there, like I did when I was 18 or 17, I guess, and find out what you can do to make money and where the jobs are and what they even project what these things are going to look like for the next few years. And so literally you just look through it as a menu and you pick. That's all online now, and you can take 5 seconds and figure it out, right? But people would rather watch TikTok. So, but it is hard to make 6 figures. It's not difficult to make $85,000 a year as a man. It is difficult to make over 100,000. So, but keeping to the point, it's hard to be an exceptional man. How hard? Well, like 5% of men are, okay? Now, what does it take to be an exceptional woman, right? So let's flip the tables and say you're a woman and you want to net one of these exceptional men. Now, interestingly, you'll find the internet full of both men and women complaining that the other side doesn't exist. Where are all the good men? Where are all the good women? Now, the women are saying this because they have roped off 90 to 95% of men, and the ones that are left are likely fooling around a lot because they are living up the fact that they can be with a different woman every night if they choose. And because the ladies preferences are not geared towards what actually makes a high quality man. They are zooming in on the ones that are apt to do that sort of thing instead of trying to find one who's actually just looking for a wife and a family. But anyway, what does it take to be an exceptional woman? So now let's look at the plight of the men who say, I can't find a good woman. Well, the tables are a little different once you turn them. Because it turns out that you comb through the statistics and you find things like what the average number of men that the average woman has been with at certain ages as young as 18, and you will be shocked at those numbers because they're double digits. You can look at the average weight of the average woman and be shocked. This is a problem for men too, so let's be even with that. But something like 60% of adults in the United States are obese, not overweight, obese. If you want some shock factor, Google a picture of a beach from the 1970s and look at a beach today. You can look at the fact that more than 80% of marriages are terminated by the wife. And no, a majority of those are not situations of any kind of abuse. It's just, well, I thought maybe I could do better. So you can go on and on with this, and the horror stories are out there. You can look at what happens to a guy when he gets divorced, when his wife divorces him, because she not only takes half the stuff, she gets most of the kids. And these stories, again, you can look them up. You can look up the statistics. I think I did a summary of these things on my blog somewhere at some point, so I won't bore you with those if you have already looked at that. But here's the point. What makes an exceptional woman? It doesn't take much. So if you are 18, a virgin, and not overweight, you are one of the rarest women on the planet, at least in this country. And I'd expect that it's quite similar in any wealthy country today. And so even if you broaden the range on the age, even if you slightly broaden the number of serious relationships that a lady has been in, even if you give a little more latitude on the weight question, you will still find that it's enormously rare to find a woman who fits those criteria. Now, and is single, obviously. Now, that does not account for any of the things that are not so sort of simply physical, right? But it turns out that guys don't even get to that, to be able to sort by that, because the options are so few. And what we're talking about with these options is, maybe you disagree with the particulars, but the question is, what's the list of no-goes? And it turns out that today, there's a whole lot of them, a whole lot of red flags, a whole lot of deal breakers, right? With women, for men, as there should be, because the current situation is extremely destructive and extremely hard to see as worthwhile. But the point with all of this, maybe if there is one, is not to outline the fact that this is ridiculously skewed. I think that's just the way it is, and there's no point complaining about that one. It's that if you're watching this and you are a parent, or you're going to be a parent, or you're a grandparent, it's very important that we help young women understand that the choices that are before them, they have a path to encountering a very high quality man. It's never been easier to qualify for that. 20, 30, 40 years ago, the things I just listed would not have been enough because it applied to almost everybody. Take one or two of those things away and you're pretty much at everybody. It wasn't hard to find somebody that wasn't obese. It wasn't hard to find somebody that wasn't on drugs, prescribed or otherwise, that mess with your brain. It Wasn't hard to find somebody that wasn't addicted to stuff, whether that be a phone or whatever, who had their dopamine circuits blown out for life. But now it is hard. It's extremely hard to find those things. So if you're in that basket and you're a lady, good for you. And raise up the flag and make yourself known to these high quality men that are out there who have no way of finding you. None. There's no dating service that screens people and you can't get on the site if you've lived a promiscuous life, for example, or you're on prescription drugs for certain things or whatever. So you have to make yourself known, and that's not that hard. You don't have to get crazy. You don't even have to start a YouTube channel or something or do anything desperate. You just have to find where high quality men are and just put yourself out there a tiny bit, and then they'll get your number and take care of the rest. So I like talking about dating topics because they're visceral and everyone gets it. Yeah, they might not agree with it, but we don't have to spend any time on prerequisite understanding or, trying to explain even what the heck we're talking about. It's just people get it right away. Now, this principle that we've been talking about the quality of what's in life radically changing all of the sudden in our day, that is a staple of the end times. And it's a pattern that's actually true across many, 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 many things. For example, another thing that's close to home and easy to understand is to look at work. And so I encourage you to think about that. Maybe I'll break this into a different video and talk some more about that.